Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever and whenever you're tuning in. Welcome back to Legally Brewed, the podcast where the intricate world of law meets the comfort of your morning coffee or just your regular old water. I'll be your guide today through an exciting and thought-provoking exploration. Today's episode is called Robots on Trial, the Legal Frontier of Artificial Intelligence. And today I'm thrilled to have one of our very own members of the firm, Ashley Zimmerman, an associate also with Floria Perucci alongside me, bringing, in a wealth of knowledge on some legal challenges and opportunities when it comes to emerging technologies just in the legal field. So, hey, Ashley, thanks for joining us today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on this episode. I'm very excited to talk about AI. I know it's a very growing and popular topic, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners are interested to learn more about it. So I'm happy to be here to talk about it.
Thank you, thank you. I know I'm definitely excited to talk about it because I know it plays a large role. I do's and don'ts of the legal field. But before we dive into some AI, can you just share with us a little bit of your background and what you've been doing here at Floria Perucci?
Sure. So as Sandra had said, I'm a first-year associate here in our Cherry Hill office. I'm currently doing a lot of workers' compensation, family law, and education law, as well as just civil litigation matters. Before joining the firm this past September, I was a law clerk in Gloucester County for Judge Silvanio in the criminal division. I earned my law degree from Rutgers in May of 2022. I was really involved there. And then I earned my bachelor's degree in political science from Rowan University in May of 2018 with a concentration in race, gender, and class studies.
Awesome. So you've been basically on track for this whole legal world.
Yep. Ever since I was little, I've wanted to be a lawyer. So it's crazy.
Good to see it come to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously you're involved in many different types of law in the firm, legal standards that you play, right? Can you just share an example or two of how AI has come into play or not come into play in your line of work?
Sure. So as I said, I'm a first-year associate, and if you're an attorney listening, you know that a lot of the times the associates are spending time researching and reading the law, looking up complex legal issues for the more senior associates or partners in the office. So I primarily use AI when it comes to first beginning a research assignment. I was taught by a lot of my professors in law school at Rutgers to always begin your research with just doing a Google search, because you might not even know what you're looking for. So do a Google search and you'll find, those key terms. You might find cases, statutes, and then you can go onto Westlaw or Lexis and kind of dive deeper and find what you're looking for. So I use AI in that sense. I'll, maybe type in a question I have or an area of the law I'm not really sure about, and it'll immediately populate and, give me some starting points for where to begin my research. And then I'll then go on to Westlaw or Lexis and kind of look into that further. I'll be honest, I haven't really used AI in more ways besides research. I know some people use it for directing memos or editing their briefs or reviewing contracts. I'm still kind of getting used to using AI, and I know it's still developing, so I'm still a little bit uneasy with it, I guess you could say. But that's kind of how I use it in my everyday work.
Got it. And how, in terms of accuracy or strengths or weaknesses, what have you found when it comes to just research and AI?
Yeah, no, I think with any technology, right, we're going to see a big challenge in what is the trustworthiness of AI in the legal field. It's still developing. There's still many trials and errors with it. It's not always 1,000% accurate. And I've heard some horror stories where people have written briefs and have had AI edit it, and it completely changed all of the case law that they had already like used and found from Westlaw and just put in inaccurate and fake cases. So I think that is definitely a challenge we're going to have with it. Like any technology, is going through the trial and error and finding the trustworthiness and accuracy of using it in our day-to-day lives.
Right. Yeah, I think there was actually a recent case where an attorney used AI to just generate a brief, and AI just made up cases with fake,
which is scary.
holdings. And then I think they got sanctioned for it, right? So I know I don't use it so much in the way that you use it, because I'm scared of the way it comes up with
Right.
I've obviously, in the beginning, I tried to use it for research, and it would just either come up with cases again or just give me holdings that just don't exist in cases
Exactly.
that exist. And I would look at the cases, and I would literally do a control F for keywords that ChatGPT told me were in the holding, and the word wouldn't even be in the case
Right.
at all. And I'm like, where are you coming up
Where's this coming from?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. There wasn't even case law. I asked it what a civil procedure rule said, and it was a discovery rule, and I was like, how many days do I have to file this motion? The response from ChatGPT gave me the right rule, right? It goes
right.
For whatever, and it was like, you have 30 days. And of course, because I don't trust technology, I looked up the rule, and the rule itself was like, you have 45 days. And I was like, I actually talked back to ChatGPT, and I was like, what are you talking about?
This isn't right.
45. How are you telling me 30?
You're right. Yeah, so that's why I always say I start my research with it, and then I'll take whatever I find and then go to Westlaw or Lexis or whatever to make sure it's accurate, and if it's not accurate, to find the right answer, because again, it's not always trustworthy.
Right.
So.
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that being said, what do you think, or what do you see as the biggest challenge when it comes to integrating AI into legal practice?
Well, I think what we just said is the trustworthiness and accuracy.
Okay.
How can we use it in our day-to-day lives and in our work as professionals if we're not 100% sure of its trustworthiness or accuracy? And like I said, I don't fully trust it myself yet. And I think as it continues to advance and as they continue to test it out, it'll definitely begin to get more accurate, but I think that's going to take time. So I think that's going to be the biggest challenge for sure, is making sure that it's accurate.
Reliability, right?
Yep, for sure.
Get to a point in the future where it completely takes over an attorney's role.
Do I think it will?
Yeah.
And I've researched this and I've read about it. I don't think so. And I think we definitely have this perception, a lot of people have this perception that, robots are going to take over and everything. But as lawyers, we have this level of thinking, this human level of thinking, that I just don't think that robots will ever be able to replace.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like the way I've looked at it is that AI, or technology in general, right, can always give a leg up, but I don't think it can completely overtake, right?
Right.
Now, no disrespect intended, but I think it could overtake the kind of individuals who don't want to use technology and AI, right? Because I think it's going to make the people who do use it that much stronger and free up their time. Like, I don't think there's ever going to be a robot or AI showing up in court and litigating something. I don't think judges are going to allow it. I don't think other lawyers are going to allow it, right? So I don't think you could take away the people portion of this entire business, right? But I think an associate or a partner utilizing AI and technology to either help them in those people aspects, or just shave time off of the
Exactly.
quote unquote mundane parts, right?
Right.
So they can
Hmm.
allow more time to go to court and deal with the people. And that's where I feel
Exactly. I
will
think
go.
with productivity and efficiency is where it'll come in. I don't
Right.
think it's going to take over our lives completely, but I think helping to, speed up some tasks and make things go by quicker is where we'll come in.
Right. Like even though I think you mentioned you use it as a starting point in research,
Hmm.
when I've used it for in that manner, it's definitely shaved off some time off of my research, right?
Right.
Like
Because it can take a while, it can take
exactly,
hours. And if you don't know where to begin, you don't even know where to start, then you're
exactly,
just going down
exactly,
a
exactly.
long path. So I think, that could definitely help shave off some time if it's, again, accurate and trustworthy.
Right, right. Now let's just jump back really quickly to like legal education and just
Hmm.
law school in general. Obviously, I think when you and I both went to law school, AI was not in the forefront of our minds.
No.
It wasn't really a thing.
Hmm.
But how, if any, do you think that the legal education or just law school in general can adapt or should adapt to prepare future lawyers for the challenges and opportunities that come with AI?
Hmm. So I think as it becomes more and more common, I think law school should start preparing and training students and future lawyers on how to properly use it and integrate it into their day-to-day work to be as effective and efficient as possible. And I read an article and they said, it's basically the same thing as any technology, right? We went from looking at hard copy books in the library to using resources like Lexis and Westlaw. And in your 1L courses, they teach you how to research on those platforms. So I think as the AI becomes more and more prevalent, we're going to have to teach these younger students and younger lawyers on how to effectively incorporate it into their day-to-day lives.
Yeah, and it's funny. I remember it must have been like fourth grade or something like that. I think I'm dating myself, but in fourth grade, they literally taught us how to Google search, like what keywords to put
Yeah,
into
yeah,
Google to like get something back effectively.
yeah, exactly.
And I think we're talking about the legal field and law school, but I even think the new curriculum in fourth grade is no longer going to be about Google searches, but it's going to be about AI.
AI,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah.
No, but I think that's a good point. It's just crazy.
Yeah. And which brings me back to like how to effectively use AI, right? In whatever way you're using it,
Hmm.
and whatever you're trying to get out of it. I think it
Hmm.
also AI is only as good as what you feed, right? Uh,
Right.
I've 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 learned, at least in my usage of it, like if I tell it how to do something and I'm very specific,
Hmm.
most of the time, aside from giving me, improper legal conclusions and
Hmm.
wrong wrong verbiage and such, but if I give it exactly what I want out of a letter, for example, that's
Hmm.
very hard for it to screw up. Um,
Right.
it's only as good as what I feed it. And that goes back to, well, you got to teach people in order to effectively utilize AI, you got to teach
Hmm.
them what to give AI so what you can get back is good is quality.
Exactly.
And I think I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about potential privacy concerns with AI,
Hmm.
right? Especially, and I think this ties in a little bit with ethical considerations when it comes to attorneys, right?
Right.
But I know you mentioned you work in workers' compensation, a little bit of civil litigation, and
Hmm.
as with the entire legal field, right? We have a duty to our clients as to confidentiality and certain information, right, that we're only privy to. And
Hmm.
AI is obviously, while it's not an openly public forum, it's still a forum that shouldn't have access to specific data. So, can you possibly discuss the balance between this new innovation and potential privacy concerns when it
Hmm.
comes to utilizing AI?
Yes, for sure. And this is something that I kind of looked into because, as you mentioned, as attorneys, we're supposed to follow the model rules of professional conduct, which, as you said, consists of the duty of confidentiality and your attorney-client privilege and providing competent representation to our clients. None of which obviously includes how to use AI programs in accordance with those principles.
Right.
So the article that I was reading really talked about how can we use AI effectively when we have to still uphold and follow those guidelines. And I think the answer for now, as we had mentioned, really should be to use AI to augment and improve our work product and to increase our efficiency and productivity, and not to completely, like we said, replace what we're doing. And there's really finding a balance in that, because there are privacy concerns with you have these clients, and if you're using ChatGPT, there's concerns that you're giving them information that may stay in their database for how long? We don't know, right? There's a lot of unanswered questions. So like we've discussed, I think really just using it as a tool to help us get our work done more efficiently, but not to completely overtake or replace it.
Yeah, and I think
what that balance is, I don't know, because it's still developing.
I mean, certainly don't upload a bunch of medical records to ChatGPT,
right,
and tell ChatGPT to summarize them for you. I've heard stories from actual people I know who are like, yeah, I uploaded it to ChatGPT and I had it summarize this for me. I'm like, there are like people's like medical records are special authorizations to even get those released, right? But there's a difference, right, between, all right, ChatGPT, give me a template for a demand, right, or a form, right? And use that, and you plug in the medical records without and information from the medical records without having to give ChatGPT those medical records, right? Or at the very least, if you are going to give it medical information, just give it like the medical information, no names, nothing. Just give it like tibial fracture, like injury at the C5, C6. That's not, purely confidential, or you're not giving out a patient's information or a client.
Exactly.
That's very broad strokes. Yeah. So definitely, I think it's a warning to attorneys and people who are, in the legal field utilizing AI. And, on the other side, I hope we're giving some comfort to clients by letting everybody know that we're very weary of the information given.
For sure.
But I don't, it's definitely not a carte blanche, because we do have to keep these privacy concerns in mind, because again, while it's not like Reddit or Twitter where the information is going entirely public, but like you said, there is a database and things are being housed, and we don't know for how long. We don't know for anything,
and who has access to it. And
God forbid, like ChatGPT or whatever AI platform gets hacked or something. There's a lot of implications, right? So we have to be mindful of basically accuracy and privacy.
Right.
Are the two big things.
The two big concerns. Yep.
So that being said, any final thoughts? I know we kind of just summed it up into accuracy and privacy, but any final thoughts you want to mention? Anything as it relates to, maybe you want to share with us your favorite ChatGPT? I always call AI ChatGPT because that's the only one I use, but I know there's a few out there. Not sure what your favorite one is, but any parting thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I am excited to see how it continues to advance and develop, and hopefully we can use it more on a regular day-to-day basis, because as attorneys, we have a million things to do on our laundry list for the day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month. And, if we can get to the point where it's trustworthy and effective, I think it would be really great to be able to, become more productive, become more efficient for, not just us, but for ultimately our clients. So I am excited to see how it's going to positively impact us as we move forward. And And I guess my advice for anyone who's listening is to continue to educate yourself. I know I've received emails within the last month from, different legal providers about CLE classes on AI. And so really stay on top of it and educate yourself, to see how we can continue to use this moving forward, but in the correct manner.
Yep. Awesome. Well, thanks, Ashley, for your
Yeah,
time,
thank you for having me. This was great.
insight. I'm sure we'll be back at some point to talk about something completely different. We don't discriminate against topics on
Yeah,
this podcast. But again, thank you for your time. I hope
thanks for having
this
me.
this was good insight for everybody listening. And who knows? I know, like Ashley said, we've seen emails come through from experts on and several CLEs come through about AI. There could be updates in the near future about attorneys using AI. I'd be interested to see if someone tries to put a ban on it of some sort, right? With all these
Right.
coming out of inaccuracies, but we'll see where it takes us. And we might be back with a few more commentaries on whether it be AI or something else.
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Until next time, everybody.